Hello, everyone, and welcome to NLBP TV. We are doing a member spotlight today with Dr. Susan Kaye of the Institute of Mind Body Therapy. Dr. Susan is a sex educator, therapist, and intimacy coach. Hi, Susan. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, Camille. Thanks for inviting me.
You are welcome. So let's jump right in there.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit first. Let's start with the difference between a sex therapist and an intimacy coach. And then we'll talk a little bit about your institute and what that does.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're
Good
welcome.
question because they are not your mainstream kind of professions that people speak to, and people go, "Well, what does that mean? What do you do?"
Yeah.
And so the difference in therapy and coaching, any kind of coaching that you hear about, because coaching has become more mainstream than it was when I started. But therapy is we're going deeper into what's going on with the you with you. That's where we start. Like, what's going on with you with you? And yeah, we're looking at the neck up. And then with the institute work, which we can talk further about, is then we're looking what's going on from the neck down. So it's a comprehensive therapeutic process where we're digging deeper at people walking around with trauma or something that we're not just finding some new tools or some other kinds of ways to experience a relationship with other. So coaching comes along with another person generally. Like it's what we do a lot with couples. And we look at intimacy breakdown is into me see. So it's really getting to know each other and what are those tools for connection, both verbal communication and physical communication. And we see clients move from that place of therapy to intimacy coaching. So it is a process. And so the two distinctions people come in for sometimes one or the other or both.
I love that. And do you primarily work with couples or a single person as well? Individual
Primarily, it's single folks.
singles. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's surprising. I would have thought couples. Terrific. Um,
right.
Tell me a little bit about the Institute and your journey to starting this, because I know this is your baby.
Yes, well, I started way back in the last century, 1985, um, as a massage therapist. I learned um, quickly in life, early on in life, that I really wanted to figure out how to be best friends with my body. And so I went on this journey, and it included food and meditation and massage and things that we take for granted today, but was just kind of coming out into the States. I always say things were floating across the pond from India and some of those other modalities that we never heard of here that are now mainstream.
Right.
And so being in that world, I landed in an office of sex therapists who were dealing with people walking with trauma from their neck down, sexual abuse, folks questioning their orientation, questioning the body that they lived in. And so the therapists are doing the neck up work, and I would do the neck down, which means I would just lay hands on. Sometimes we understand it now as energy work. I didn't understand, I didn't even really know what I was doing. But we were having people who walked in with chronic neck and shoulder pain. This woman in particular, I always tell this story. She's in her mid 30s, came to us because the physical docs had given up, said, it's all in your head, go see a therapist. So she came in, worked with Dr. Carol, and Dr. Carol said, you need to meet with Susan. She made an appointment, laid down on my table, face down, fully clothed, and I just started to feel around and looking for where the body took me. And she started to raise her arms up over her head, having memory of being strung up in a barn as a child. So that's where it anchored itself, was in her neck and shoulders. And so I tell that story because it was the one that really convinced me we were on the right path. And so that's how I worked my way through school and got my doctorate so I could be on the other side of the desk and started to train people to do what I do. And so we now have 9 teams of both neck up therapists and neck down therapists around the country.
Wow, that's an incredible story. Incredible story. So you've built these teams and you're still building teams? Is that correct?
I'm sorry, you cut out.
I'm sorry, you're still building teams as well around the country?
Oh yeah, we're still training people. We have our own training courses we created for the neck up therapists to learn how to work with body workers. And we train the body work, somatic arts practitioners, I like that term better,
Okay.
um, to how to work in this triadic model. The triad model, which came out of Masters and Johnson's trainings, teachings in the 1960s. So it's still the model, but I expanded it to not just use surrogate partners. We also work with surrogate partners who are people who are trained. We have males, females, gay, lesbian, trans folks that are trained how to work in this therapeutic model. And so it's called the expanded triadic model. And yeah, we're always training. Wherever I train a therapist, then we can get body workers to come on board. It's more easily accessible to get people that are in the hands-on work to understand this than it is sometimes the therapists.
Gotcha.
And therapists also have licensing boards that say, you can't touch a client, don't have anybody touch your client, so
Yeah.
it's changed a lot because they see this as the future. Integrative medicine is now on the horizon. People are understanding complementary therapies. Oh, imagine, tell them to do exercise, tell them to eat right, tell them to go get a massage, tell them to do yoga. Things we've been saying for 30 years, but now we're riding on the coattails of the medical integrative medicine. In fact, we're thinking of changing Institute for Mind Body Therapy to Integrative Mind Body Therapy because it is what's next. And yes, we are still training people in this model.
That is wonderful. So if someone was looking to come to your practice or your institute, what is one like common theme you see in all of your patients? Is there a common theme or something that they're not sure it's like me or they didn't know that there are people like them?
Yeah. Well, yeah, we do have that. I mean, I'm writing a book. It's called Am I Normal If? Because that's mostly what I hear in the office. And it can be, am I normal if I'm in this male body, but I feel like I'm a female? To, are my eyebrows even enough? Do I have matching eyebrows? Do I fit in that normal box? It's something we all struggle with. And I say, well, let's not look at normal because that can change daily, or whoever the latest marketing person is, or
Right.
politically who's in charge. There's so many things that can affect the normal box. Let's look at what's natural for you and let's build on that.
I love
And
that.
so that's the core of our work. So, I mean, mostly people come in and there's a question around, the normalcy. We also deal with folks in trauma who have gone through sexual abuse, folks who are late life virgins. I mean, I have 50-year-old virgins in my office.
Okay.
And it's because of the early messages we get sometimes through religions that tell us our bodies are sinful and we shouldn't go down that road. Or you stayed home and stayed back in the hospital when you were born. I go all the way back to, I want to know from birth and those first 5 years. That's what my intake is. What were those first 5 years when you were reading your whole world through your senses? We don't have cognition on board to evaluate and be decisive about situations or circumstances. It's how we feel. Did you feel loved? Did you feel your parents loved each other? what were the smells in the house. And if a baby stays back in the hospital, say they have to have an operation so they don't go home with mom, they don't get nurturing touch, they get medical touch. And then they come home to mom, and mom's nervous because this baby has had surgery, and how she holds them, and she's, all of that registers into our cellular memory, our body memories, which we now understand and have access to. So those, and then I can follow a thread through their lives, like where they were with other people, with relationships, with circumstances. And I can come to a place with a 55-year-old virgin, let's just say that, where I can say to him, look back here, what happened here, and how it has been a marker through your life. And it's just such a relief for them. They're like, I never saw that, or I never thought of that.
Wow.
And then they know we can get to work because there's something that we can work on. Yeah.
So interesting. I'm just curious, does your institute use hypnotherapy at all? Is that part of it?
Yeah, we call that neck up work.
Neck up, okay.
So somebody that's doing that kind of neurofeedback, EMDR, family systems work, that's all here. And so we have to get good here before we send them for body work, because we got really good at numbing out, cutting ourselves off, as you saw with my client with the hands-on, and she had no memory of being strung up in a barn, but it was locked in her neck and shoulders. When I gave her neck and shoulders permission to tell me what's going on or let go. Yeah. So I've taught classes at massage schools, because they'll have people come in, when you're going through massage certification, you need to have so many hours of hands-on. And so they offer $25 massages, or, inexpensive. So people, anybody comes in off the street without an intake, you don't know, and they had people locking themselves in the bathrooms or hiding under the tables because they triggered something in their bodies. So this was back, 80s, 90s, when we still were very new at putting these two together.
Wow. So do you work primarily with adults or all adults?
I do. They have to be over 18.
Over 18. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we work with developmentally disabled. I started a touch program for the county of Philadelphia. They had to get a special, I guess it's still in place, I don't know, where you got a certification inside of your massage licensing that you could work with the ID folks. And so I've had families bring their cerebral palsy or wheelchair bound child to us so they could get touch and intimacy that they never would be able to get or have in life.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible work.
Read the book. It's all in my book.
Is your book out yet or not yet?
No. This whole thing has really put us backwards. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You'll have to absolutely tell us when that book comes out.
Yeah. Well, there's a website. I have a site up, a page already, Am I Normal If, and we're keeping people posted. So.
Okay. And that's aminormalif.com?
AMINORMAL.com.
Awesome. Great. So is there anything else you want to add about your institution or your own work? It's so fascinating.
Well, thank you. And yeah, the last few times I've been speaking, it's turned into this question about touch, or the reality of we're being confined and taking a look at, it's illegal to touch each other.
Yeah.
And touch is our most significant sense. For me, it holds value from creator or divinity or whatever you want to call it. When we come in as babies, we can't see so good, we can't hear so good, we can only smell mother's milk, and our taste buds aren't developed. but our sense of touch, our skin hungers are completely fully developed. That's why the way babies are touched, the way we're handled, set us up. We know babies die in institutions without touch. What happens is we age out, can't see so good, can't hear so good, we lose our sense of taste and smell, but our skin hungers unless accident or some kind of neurological compromise in the skin. We never lose that need for touch. And here we are with this big wake-up call. And so we're gearing up. I'm changing the site. I have some students working with me on the technology end to be ready and open for folks that come in that realize that they've been out of touch with themselves or others, and also the avoidances and the distractions that we create or do. Run here, go there, do bip, 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 bip.
Yeah.
So we don't deal with, gee, I really would just love to cuddle with somebody right now. We have cuddle therapists on our teams. It's one of the first places I send our clients. Just go get cuddled, completely clothes on. It's a complete state where people can curl up and cry for the loss of disconnect with themselves first, because you with you is first. I started to talk that way. And it's good to wrap up with going back to what you said, especially in the therapy room. So it's getting you with you so that you can be in a healthy you and you with a healthy you and other. So touch is at the core.
Incredible. Yeah. So I'm just curious, with the pandemic and everything that we're going through with this moment, has it increased your business, decreased your business? Do you do anything online? Are you doing things by call now? Has it changed for you?
Yeah, things are quiet because I think people don't have money, number
Yeah.
one. And if they're in a home where there's other people, it's difficult to talk
Talk.
about what's going on with them, like especially my 28-year-old virgins.
Yeah.
They're stuck at home or, they're with other people. So what has shown up though is couples. I'm working with 3 couples right now. And we'll have couples come and go. They see our work more as that intimacy building. And so they're looking at each other in the house for 3 months going, don't you have to go to work or something? Is there someplace you could be? And so it's been interesting seeing that. So I do have several people on staff who focus on couples and focus on women, that we're building up their side of the work and the outreach.
Yeah. Beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you for your time today. This was actually wonderful to hear all the work that you're doing. It's fabulous. And I
Well,
love how
thank
soul
you.
centered it is.
Thank you for understanding and getting it and supporting it.
Yeah. Well, I think I told you when I met you, I was probably one of those few people that read through the Masters and Johnson studies. when I
Right, that was you.
when I was in
And
high
that goes
school, I
quicker.
literally read those studies.
I've
I
not
was
done it.
fascinated by it, and I ended up, my first degree is in clinical psychology, and I think it was because I was just so curious about it all,
Yeah.
and that side of counseling. I was very
It's a
curious.
fascinating field. I worked with Masters and Johnson. I knew them both, but I didn't read their books clear
I
through. I think I
did.
have a couple, 3 of them, but
I
2
read them,
were.
I outlined them, but I think when I went to college, I left home when I was 17. My mother threw them out on me.
Uh, mm,
So I
yeah,
no longer have them. It would be
yeah.
interesting to go back, but terrific. I'm so glad you were with us here today.
Well,
So if
thank you.
someone wanted to get in touch with you, or your institute, what is the best
Yeah.
way to find you?
The best is drsusankay.com. It's just DRSUSANKAYE. There's a connection appointment kind of
Terrific.
ability, or my email is the same, drsusankay@gmail.
Fabulous. Well, I thank you for your time today and being a part of our member spotlight.
Yay, thank you.
NLBP TV. Hopefully, people will reach out and ask you some questions. I think your work is absolutely fascinating. And I
Yeah, let's
really,
have a conversation.
yeah, I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Camille.